Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, the channel where we uncover the secrets, stories, and market value of the world's most fascinating vintage stamps. Today, we turn our magnifying glass toward a beautiful and iconic piece of British philately, the light blue 2p Queen Elizabeth II definitive stamp. At first glance, this stamp might look ordinary. Printed in a soothing blue tone and bearing the familiar profile of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, it was once a common sight on envelopes across the United Kingdom. But today, in the world of stamp collectors and philatelic auctions, even the most humble-looking stamp can be hiding surprising value. So, how much is this Queen's Head 2p stamp really worth in today's market in dollars, and what makes one version worth pennies while another might fetch hundreds? To understand the value, we need to understand the history. The Queen Elizabeth II Machin series is one of the most reproduced stamp designs in the world, named after artist Arnold Machin, whose sculpted portrait of the Queen has graced British stamps since 1967. With over 200 billion printed in varying colors and denominations, these stamps became a symbol of British postal heritage. The 2p blue version, introduced in different shades and issued repeatedly through the 1970s, 1980s, and beyond, seems too common to be valuable. However, the truth is in the detail. Some of these stamps were printed in limited batches. Others have printing errors, color shifts, phosphor band variations, or were used in certain regions under unique postal contracts. And that's where value begins to emerge. A standard use 2p blue Queen Elizabeth II stamp, in average condition, typically fetches only a few cents in the United States, sometimes listed on online marketplaces for around $0.10 to $0.50 US. But collectors are not paying for ordinary. They are paying for rare. If your 2p stamp has the wrong shade, such as a rare ultramarine hue from a misprinted batch, it can command far more, sometimes $20 to $50 for a single example. If it's unused, in mint condition with original gum, the price increases further. Add in the factor of imperforate edges, double prints, or a missing phosphor band, and you may be looking at a stamp worth over $100 US. But that's just the beginning. There are known examples of Queen Elizabeth II Machin stamps with rare printing errors that have sold for thousands of dollars. One famous example is the 1971 2p olive brown stamp that lacked its phosphor coating and was misregistered in printing. Only a handful were found, and each of those is now considered a high-value collectible. And what about plate numbers? Stamps printed with early or trial plate numbers from experimental runs can also hold substantial value, especially when documented and certified by a philatelic society. Now let's talk about the global market today. In 2025, stamp collecting is undergoing a surprising renaissance. More collectors are entering the hobby thanks to digital cataloging, YouTube education, and online auction houses. This renewed interest means the market value of vintage stamps is gradually rising. For Queen Elizabeth II stamps, especially as her reign is now fully part of history, demand has increased. Some collectors are building complete Machin collections and will pay a premium for missing or rare denomination color combinations. American and Canadian collectors, in particular, have shown growing interest in British stamps. Auction houses in the United States have reported growing bids for pristine Machin stamps, especially those in presentation packs, sheets, or uncirculated rolls. So, how do you check if your stamp is worth more than face value? First, examine the condition. Is it mint or used? Check the perforations, are they clean or damaged? Look closely at the color, does it match the standard blue, or is there a slight shift toward turquoise or ultramarine, which might indicate a rarer variant? Next, use a UV light to check for the presence or absence of phosphor bands. These were used to automate mail sorting and vary by issue. Missing or extra phosphor bands can significantly affect value. Then, compare your stamp with verified listings in trusted catalogs such as Stanley Gibbons or Scott Catalog. Finally, consider having high-potential items appraised by a certified philatelist. Let's not forget postal history. A used 2p stamp on a cover, especially one with a historical date, wartime censorship mark, or a rare destination, may be worth far more than a single loose stamp. These postal artifacts tell a story and often attract higher bids from serious collectors. For example, a simple Queen stamp on a 1970s envelope sent to a Cold War-era Eastern Bloc country with legible postmarks can sometimes fetch 10 to 20 times the value of the stamp alone. And here's a surprising tip, even common stamps can become valuable when arranged in thematic collections. A complete set of Machin heads in chronological order, or organized by color and denomination in a high-quality album, can be auctioned as a full set for hundreds of dollars, especially if it includes rare varieties or pristine examples. Presentation matters. If you're selling, presentation can increase your chances of making a profitable deal. So, if you have a blue 2p Queen Elizabeth II stamp sitting in a drawer, take a closer look. It might just be one of the rare variations the market is hungry for. In today's market, prices fluctuate daily based on auction demand, collector trends, and overall global interest. But one thing is clear, stamps that once cost just 2 pence to send a letter across town could now be worth hundreds of dollars depending on their rarity and condition. Before you throw away or donate that old collection, make sure you look through every stamp. Use a magnifying glass. Look for differences. And remember, the value isn't always obvious at first glance. Many stamp millionaires started with a single forgotten album. This is Stamps Old World UK, and we're dedicated to bringing these hidden values to light. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy learning about vintage stamps, rare finds, and stamp market updates. Every week, we explore a new stamp, its history, its design, and its true worth in today's world. Don't forget to like and share this video so others don't miss out on the hidden gems in their own collections. Next up, the Queen Elizabeth II 3.5p red Machin stamp. At first glance, this stamp may look modest, even dull to the untrained eye. But for those who know what to look for, it holds powerful secrets. Especially when it features the rare D mint mark, a small but critical detail that has made this version a sleeper hit in the world of philately. Let's start with its origins. The 3.5p red stamp was introduced in the early 1970s as part of the United Kingdom's switch to decimal currency. This period brought about a complete redesign of the postal system's face values. The design itself features the iconic left-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin, which became the defining image of British postage for over 5 decades. While hundreds of billions of stamps with this design have been printed in various denominations, only certain printings, especially those marked with subtle letters like D, have become truly rare. These mint marks are not printed directly over the Queen's image but are often found in the margins, cylinders, or edge print codes used by the Royal Mail to distinguish printing batches. So why is the D mint mark so important? The answer lies in its scarcity and limited distribution. The D typically designates a print run for coils or special issues, often printed in lower numbers for regional postal offices, training purposes, or booklet production. As a result, many were used quickly and never preserved in collector albums. Today, these D mint mark stamps have become difficult to find, especially in mint condition. On the international market, a standard-use 3.5p stamp might sell for only a few cents. However, one bearing the rare D mint mark, particularly if it's unused and in mint condition, can sell for $20, $50, or even up to $150 depending on quality, demand, and presentation. What truly makes the difference in value is condition and rarity. A mint, unhinged 3.5p D stamp with sharp perforations, vibrant color, and no toning or creasing is far more desirable to collectors than a used or faded example. Collectors are also willing to pay more for full coils, corner blocks, or presentation packs that include the D-marked variety. Even more valuable are error stamps, such as those with misaligned print, missing phosphor bands, or double impressions. These can multiply the value exponentially. Recently, a D mint mark error stamp sold at auction for nearly $220 simply because of a misprint combined with perfect condition and verified provenance. Now let's talk about the wider market in 2025. Stamp collecting is enjoying a renewed wave of interest thanks to digital platforms, online auctions, YouTube channels like this one, and a growing number of young collectors inspired by heritage and investment potential. As a result, values have gone up. Machin head stamps in particular are gaining popularity due to their vast variety and intricate catalog of known issues. Queen Elizabeth II's passing in 2022 also created a surge of nostalgia-driven demand, as collectors aim to complete full sets of her definitive stamps, especially lesser-known variants like the 3.5p red D. But how can you tell if your 3.5p stamp is valuable? Start with close inspection. Use a magnifying glass to check for clean edges and strong color. Look at the margins or edges for any letter marks. Examine under UV light for phosphor banding. Some stamps have 1 or 2 glowing bands that affect their value. Then compare with recent online auction results and trusted catalogs like Stanley Gibbons or Scott. Keep an eye on collector forums and marketplaces where stamps similar to yours are being listed. And if you're really unsure, it's always worth consulting a qualified philatelist or local stamp society who can help authenticate and appraise what you have. Let's not forget the importance of postal history. A 3.5p red D stamp on a complete envelope, especially if it has a clean cancellation, destination marking, or was sent during a notable event, may fetch more than the stamp alone. Covers sent internationally, or ones with war-era censorship labels, air mail routing, or royal commemorative postmarks can be extremely desirable to collectors and postal historians alike. Some of the highest value sales come from seemingly ordinary envelopes that just happen to be sent at the right time to the right place with the right stamp. One incredible aspect of collecting Queen Elizabeth II stamps is the power of thematic collections. A well-assembled Machin set featuring all mint-marked denominations, including the 3.5p red D, can become highly valuable when sold as a unit. A complete mounted page of 1970s decimal issues in pristine condition has been known to sell for several $100s, especially if presented with documentation or exhibition notes. And if you happen to have multiples, such as cylinder blocks or coil strips, your value can increase significantly. Some booklet panes featuring the 3.5p D have been valued over $300 due to limited availability and collector interest. Remember, most people overlook these stamps because they assume that common means worthless. But in stamps, rarity often hides in plain sight. A simple variation in the letter, the color tone, or the printing method can make one stamp worth 10 cents and another worth $100. This is why stamp collecting is not only a hobby but also a treasure hunt. It rewards careful observation, historical research, and a willingness to learn the details most others miss. And that's exactly what we do here at Stamps Old World UK, teach you to see the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. So, before you give away or discard that old album, check every Queen stamp, especially the decimal ones from the 1970s and 1980s. Use a bright light, study the margins, research the variations, and never underestimate what's right in front of you. You might already have a 3.5p red D mint stamp and not even know it. If you do, you're holding a piece of postal history that could be worth far more than its tiny size suggests. Thank you for watching and supporting Stamps Old World UK. If you enjoyed this deep look into the 3.5p red Queen Elizabeth II stamp with the D mint mark, please like this video, leave a comment about what you found in your collection, and subscribe for more weekly guides, price updates, and rare stamp spotlights. Share this video with collectors, friends, or family members who might have old stamps hiding away. You never know who might be sitting on a forgotten fortune. Until next time, take care, keep collecting, and may your next stamp discovery be even more valuable than you imagined.